Hey, come here. Let's talk about Brooklyn real estate over the past decade and how it's done. So this morning, I got the market data report from the folks at Corcoran that shows appreciation for various neighborhoods in Brooklyn. And there are some interesting takeaways from this. One is condos do better than co-ops. We kind of know that, but it is very clear, and in some cases, almost double the appreciation for condos over co-ops. The other is that certain neighborhoods did better than others, and some of them you wouldn't necessarily expect. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the data here. So this is the 10-year report, annual growth rate by neighborhood. And one of the things you'll see with the top line here is Brooklyn market wide. It grew, the 10-year annual growth rate was 7.5%. Now, when you go down the list, here we have Bed-Stuy at 8.6%. It's important to note Bed-Stuy 8.6 and actually down here Bushwick at 8.9%. That we're just talking about co-ops and condos in this report. A lot of the market in Bed-Stuy and a lot of the market in Bushwick as well are townhomes and multifamily. So that we'll have to discuss in a different episode. But that said, even so, Bed-Stuy and Bushwick condos and co-ops did very well for the past 10 years. That is a great return on your investment if you bought. Boerum Hill did very well as well, 8.4% over 10 years. Brooklyn Heights, now this is a perfect example of the difference between co-ops and condos. So in Brooklyn Heights over 10 years, the co-ops appreciated 4.8% and condos appreciated 8.2%. Now, this is almost double, right? So you've got, let's say you're paying 20% more for a condo than you are for a co-op in terms of the amount of apartment you're getting for that price. The thing is if you're holding this long term, that difference in appreciation is going to make quite a big difference, right? So like over 10 years, the people who own co-ops in this part of Brooklyn were in Brooklyn Heights were actually seeing 40% returns on their investment. And if you bought a similar apartment at a condo in Brooklyn Heights, you would then see an 80% return. So it's definitely a worthwhile investment to invest the extra money up front to get the condo in places like Brooklyn Heights. Other parts of Brooklyn, it's a little bit different. And I'll show you those. So we looked at Brooklyn Heights and Bushwick. Carroll Gardens, again, this is sort of the same. 4.8% appreciation for co-ops, 8.7% for condos. Again, a big difference for the condos over the co-ops. Clinton Hill, a little less of a difference, but wow, crazy growth in Clinton Hill. 7.7% and 10% for condos in Clinton Hill. Cobble Hill also did really well, 7.9% and 10.4%. These are some of the greatest gains that Brooklyn has seen in Clinton Hill and Cobble Hill. Crown Heights, only 6.6% comparatively. Downtown Brooklyn, 8.6%. So the thing to think about with places like Crown Heights and to some degree parts of Bushwick, et cetera, as well, is that if I were to guess, I would guess that you're going to start seeing a steepening of the curve out there in Crown Heights because you can get a lot of apartment for your money in places not too far from the trains. Just keep an eye out in the future for the Crown Heights and farther out properties appreciating at a steeper pace than some of the closer in properties. Dumbo Vinegar Hill, 6.7, Fort Greene, 7.9 and 8. Very little difference between co-ops and condos in Fort Greene. Greenpoint, this is the winner here, 12.9% in Greenpoint, average condo appreciation. That is a big number, a very big number for 10 years. I've been telling folks various folks, and I have agreement with a lot of different real estate agents that I know and work with, and we all liked Greenpoint as a place to invest. And Greenpoint is not over. There are a bunch of opportunities for relatively inexpensive townhomes and multifamilies there. You can buy a multifamily, a 6-family for a 25-foot wide 6-family for around 1.5 or under, but there are all kinds of issues with rent stabilization laws. So don't just go and buy one. Just research it first, or talk to me, and I'll explain this stuff to you. But Greenpoint has been a great place for appreciation, partially also because of the condos that they've been building along the waterfront recently. Now, the next part is I want to just go Park Slope and Gowanus. So in Park Slope and Gowanus, you see 5.5% appreciation for co-ops over 10 years and 7.4% for condos over 10 years. My guess is if you were to split Gowanus and Park Slope up, I think you would see a much greater appreciation in Gowanus than you're seeing in Park Slope. Certainly more recently, maybe not in the first half of the last 10 years, if that makes sense. Prospect Heights did very well if you're in a condo, 10.3%, 5.8% if you're a co-op. Again, a very big disparity in the prices between co-ops and condos and their appreciation. Williamsburg saw 7.7%, and Windsor Terrace 6.5% and 7.4%. Windsor Terrace fairly similar. So there's a lot to unpack if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of these. This is a great little overview of how Brooklyn has done in the last 10 years, which is fantastically well. Basically, if you bought a place in Brooklyn 10 years ago, you probably did really well and beat out, the market, the stock market with your investment, in many cases, or not. But depending on how you invested. So that said, I hope this is helpful. I'm going to go through Manhattan and Queens as well, or at least Long Island City and close in Queens. And I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you later. Stay safe, stay distanced, and I'll talk to you. Bye.